Hello and welcome, and this is your astrological forecast for Cancer, Sun sign and rising for 2023. And I'm going to be looking at the planetary aspects to look out for the coming year ahead. Well, we all know that Cancer is ruled by the moon, so we always look at the moon to see what's happening in a year ahead. And of course, that brings us to eclipses, and eclipses are really, really kind of powerful. I have to say that for Cancerian, this eclipse coming up, which is on the 20th of April, at 29 degrees in Aries, is a really powerful eclipse because it hits your 10th house, which is the house of your career, your work, and how you're seen in the outside world. And so 29 degrees is critical degree. It's a really important. It means that things come into an end. This is a solar eclipse, so actually new opportunities, new doors opening up for you is going to be a signature, particularly of this eclipse. And so it's looking ahead. And 29 degrees is like going from one zodiac sign to another. And what's interesting on a symbolic level, of course, is that it's going from Aries to Taurus, which brings instability. So we can kind of begin to look and say, well, you know, Cancerians may be coming into a much more stable position with work and how they're employed. And I think that's kind of really interesting because the next major eclipse that we have is at the 14th of October, and that's at 21 degrees in Libra. That's at 18:59 GMT time, and of course that's in your fourth house. So there's always a 6-month space between eclipses, and I think the balance between work and the home life is finally going to become much more apparent. Whereas I think that there's been a real polarity point over the last few years for Cancerians that means that they haven't been able to get that balance just right. And I think that there's opportunities within work that presents itself around the April time that means that they can get a better balance. That may be working from home much more. It may be that there's a promotion that means that they delegate a lot more. But what it does mean is there's a better balance that goes on with that. So that's a really kind of key feature here. The other eclipses, there's one on 5th of May. That's at 15 degrees in Taurus. So that's around the period of, friendships, particularly, and group activity, the collective. So that brings things up to the surface. There may be a collective idea or a political stance or a spiritual stance that you really feel passionate about, and you start to get involved in that a lot more and really bring that forward. So that's really, really strong at that time. And lastly, we have another one eclipse that happens that's really kind of important. That's in Scorpio. That's on the 28th of October. That's a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees in Scorpio that comes about. And again, that's in the 5th house, and that's the creative, self-expressive house. So that's really kind of majorly important in terms of how you feel about yourself going forward. And it means that creative pursuits and a real sense of the individual, which goes against all the collective stuff that I was saying. So the balance is getting being involved in the collective, but also being an individual and separate from that, and not getting too involved or absorbed in the collective. This is a thing that Cancerians can find, is they can absorb the environments that they're in far too much, become far too like psychic sponges, and take in that energy, and therefore they have to be careful of that. So to try not to be affected too much by the collective, recognize yourself as the individual with your own ideas and bring them forth to other people and exchange them. There's going to be a key kind of running template for 2023. Okay, let's go into Jupiter. So Jupiter in the first half, up until May the 16th, is in Aries, which is, again, 10th house, career, opportunities there. I talked about the eclipse in April. the Jupiter magnifies that, emphasizes that need for expansion, for looking at things in a bigger way, and external opportunities coming to you, being presented to you. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great, or just full of hot air. It's trying to figure out which ones are the good ones and which ones are not so good. But still, there is people view you, they're seeing you in action. They're talking about you in the workspace. This is really good if you're looking for a promotion, or looking to get a bit of accolade. This is really good because Jupiter is at the high point of your chart, in the midday part of your chart, and therefore you're being seen in this expansive quality. So Jupiter's really good. Then on the 16th of May, Jupiter goes into your 11th house, goes into the zodiac sign of Taurus. And again, the friendship area of your life begins to kind of take place. That's important because, again, it's bringing expansiveness and awareness and a little bit of fun, really, to groups. And as I said earlier, I do really feel that Cancerians are going to get very passionate about themes, projects, political awareness, the way that the world is turning, and how that affects the collective and the individual as well. And Cancerians are really going to feel very much responsible for what is happening to the world. It might be strongly connected to environmentalism. It might be that you wish to help your local community. It may be that there's more of a charitable kind of nature about you. Get involved in charitable causes that make a difference. Very, very strong. Now, here's the other big astrological news. That Saturn, that is traveling in Pisces from the 7th of March. So it's been in Aquarius. It's been in your 8th house, really. And, the 8th house is a mysterious house, and seemingly you can go through life with planet transit in your 8th house and not really kind of feel much of it. It's always in the background. But so Saturn in there over the last 2.5 years has been focusing on other people's money, shared resources, stuff to do with tax, maybe, and psychological therapeutic issues that need to be brought up to the surface and dealt with. From the 7th of March, Saturn moves into your 9th house. And all of a sudden, that energy of Saturn, which is maturity, which is putting boundaries, which is development, which is learning process, which is knowing your own limitations, which is self-discipline, all goes into the 9th house matters, which 9th house is morals, ethics, philosophy, metaphysics, travel, education, publishing, everything to do with the higher knowledge and the higher mind. Looking at things in a bigger way than we've done before. So Saturn puts discipline on those areas. So if you're thinking of writing a book, want to write, but this is a perfect time. If you're looking at putting more structure in your own social media or the output, then this is going to be a great time. Suddenly, you'll want to get to the depths of what's really makes human beings tick, and actually vocalize it, say it to people. So this is typically the kind of the combination of the teacher, the one who is giving information to others to learn. And I think that's a big thing, that's the big shift that's coming in for you. We're going to go back to the 8th house, really, because, in March time till June, Pluto steps into your 8th house, goes into Aquarius. This is really big news for you, Cancer, because you've had Capricorn going through your 7th house since 2008. And that's the house of other people. So power battles, a sense of dealing with fears, a sense of being overwhelmed with other people's opinions and other people's emotions, a sense of being sometimes powerless against people. Those themes have all been playing out since 2008. Now when it changes, and it changes it briefly before it goes into the Capricorn, but that's just to sort of tidy up all the issues that have been going on since 2008. You'll find that suddenly there is a real focus on the element of shared resources, the element of psychological well-being, the element of getting power in different areas of life. you know. And that could be through creativity, that could be through spirituality, that could be through a psychological transformation that is occurring, that could be within a group setting that helps you become confident in yourself. And Cancer is a very emotional sign. It's ruled by the moon. So that Pluto, you'll feel that in that March, April, May, June. You'll feel that energy just coming in. It will dance into your eighth house, and it will kind of sort of tap you on the metaphorical shoulder and say, actually, you know what? You might have to work on these kind of things. It's deeper issues that worked in, and that's for the benefit of you and for the people around you. So I think to encapsulate the whole thing, I think Cancerians are in for a quite an exciting time. And, I don't think they're under the influence as much as from Pluto or indeed Saturn than they have been. And I think the movement of the planets will make them feel much more confident and ready to engage with bigger issues that we all have to deal with in everyday life. And the Cancerians are really going to make a charge forward and bring out some real new insights. Anyway, if you like the video, press the like button. And if you like the channel, please subscribe. And thank you very much for watching.